All right, my friends, the Wayback Machine is stuck in the 50s, but it's not a bad thing because we're going to talk about a battle on Muscle Beach between Marv and Eder when he was only 19 and Doug Hepburn, who was more mature. I'm not sure what his age was at this point, but he wasn't a kid. Here's Marvin, heck of a physique. He's young here. And he was one of those guys that wasn't just a bodybuilder or just an Olympic lifter or just a power lifter. He kind of did it all, and just had fun with it. Here's Gene Mose, and he was quite a bodybuilder himself. This is who wrote this article. This is his eyewitness account, and here we go. I tried to make the text nice and big, give you enough time to read it. What he talks about these other handful of bodybuilders that he was familiar with, and we'll show you a few pictures of these guys. George Payne was one of them. Had quite a physique, late 40s, early 50s, and actually I think well, you see him here. This picture's from '66, so he continued to maintain a good physique for a long time. This guy's not real well known, and it's funny because he has an alias, which is Ed Fury. He has a longer name, and nobody's going to know what it is anyway. And there's Malcolm Brenner. Malcolm Brenner was quite popular in those days. He was a pretty big guy. My friend Joe DeMarco talked about having seen him and worked out with him on the beach, on Muscle Beach, and at the dungeon. There's Roy Hilliger. A little bit lighter guy, at least at the time, but another good guy, and there he is on the beach, posing with the sword. And then he goes on to talk about Eder and his training partner Juliano, Dom Juliano, which you'll see him too. He passed away just not too long ago. I think it was within the last couple of years. There he is. You can see he had quite a physique himself, Dom. So this contest was between Marvin, Dom, and Doug Hepburn, as mentioned. There's another shot of Dom. His back spread there. And they did a lot of crazy stuff on Muscle Beach. I've done, I covered Muscle Beach in my book about great gyms. There's Marv again. You can see his shoulder is just massive. Really good physique, and this is in the 50s. And he's drug free. Might be hard to believe with that physique, but he was. So here it talks about, there's Doug. He's a nice guy, jovial guy, and this was like a fun contest on the beach. It's going to be described where they started out bench pressing, and this isn't on the beach, but this is just Marv doing some light weight on a bench. He could probably do that weight for 100 reps. And that might be at the dungeon, actually. And there's Doug putting up some big weight in front of a crowd. So these aren't the actual pictures of what was happening on the beach, but just pictures of them benching. And so as the text describes, they got into all doing 400, 420, 430, and you got to consider also that Marv was like 70 pounds lighter than Doug. And the unofficial world record was 420. So all three of them were messing around with, started out doing a double with 400. There's Marv doing overhead lift. He was really good at Olympic lifting too, and he liked it. They didn't let him compete because he did something that they considered a professional situation. There you go. Bar reached 420. At that point, Juliano dropped out. 17-year-old kid, so that's not bad, especially in those days. All right. So then it describes how after the benching, um, Hepburn pulls out these weight plates, and it doesn't look like there's two there. And again, this isn't the picture from the contest on the beach, but this is pretty much what it was, except he does two plates like this, and he's just holding it out. It's kind of, so it's like a crucifix, except it's with one hand. So then, Marv, not doing the same thing, decides to do 10 one-arm chin-ups with his left hand and 11 with his right. And then there he is. And this is from an article where he's describing how to do one-arm push-up or chin-ups if you've never done them. So you kind of brace yourself on the one side to get started. So again, not the actual picture. This may be the actual picture of Hepburn doing a one-arm handstand. And the dude weighs like 260, 270 here. So it's pretty impressive. Doug was pretty athletic. And like I said, they did some crazy stuff on the beach. I'm going to show you a picture of George Eiferman, who was another great guy. He was Mr. America, I believe, in 48, but was a contender for a long time. But this is the kind of stuff they did on the beach. Here he's playing a trumpet and doing a one-arm overhead press. And George had quite a physique. And there's Marvin getting ready to do an overhead military press, or clean and press, I should say. Again, he did those on a regular basis. And there's Doug again. And Doug liked, much like Paul Anderson, the big, heavy one-arm dumbbell presses. Chuck Irons was always big on those too. I'm going to show him in another clip here. But you can read here, it's talking about how Marv placed third in the AAU America in that year. Pat Casey, in the recent video I posted about Pat Casey, he did mention this, and I think it was mentioned in that video, that he really felt that Marv was pound for pound the strongest man of all time. There's Pat, and pretty dang strong himself, but he was like close to 300 in these pictures. I think he was 280, 290. Art Zeller, who's another guy, and he's got wrote many articles for Muscle Builder, had a book about Muscle Beach and all those guys, which was pretty good. There's Chuck. They were talking about he's holding a young lady with one arm, and this is the kind of stuff they did on the beach on a regular basis. They were talking about Marv holding out both arms and having people do handstands off him. So there's Chuck doing it with one hand, but again, he had about 100 pounds on Marv. So impressive, yes, but I think Marv's situation was even more impressive. Here it talks about that, and the other thing was that Eder would do these crazy dips with like two guys holding on. There he is, just doing straight dips. It was one of his favorite exercises. Again, much like Pat Casey. Pat Casey actually kind of screwed his shoulder up doing extreme weighted dips. There he is with one guy on, but he, like it mentions in the text, he did do it with a guy hanging on the front and a guy hanging on the back. Talks about it, squatting 550 for 10 reps, one arm chins, the press, really good at it. Here he is doing 330 as a mid-heavy. He's like under 200 pounds, 195, 198, somewhere in there. And this article by Mose was written in 99, and at the time Marv was 67, could still do 100 dips, 90 chin-ups. I posted an 80-something-year-old guy that was a friend of mine doing like 18 chin-ups one time, and that thing got like 9,000 hits. Okay, he's still 20 years older than Marv was, mentioned at the 67. There's Doug with another crazy thing. Like, he's doing an overhead press with a guy doing a handstand on top of the bar. There's Marv, and his chest is just insane there. I think Mose mentioned that his chest was like, his pec muscles are like 5 inches thick, and look how wide his back is. And this is all drug free, and Mose says he didn't even take supplements. He must have had a really good diet. There he is again on some magazine cover, and just very adamant about being drug free too, Marvin. This was from an article about force reps, and I think this particular article was a muscle builder, but there was also a force reps article from Strength and Health, and that article is actually at the Diddalo blog, where so much good stuff is. So there he's doing looks like tricep work with some help from buddies, doing force reps. And then he's doing the bench press with force reps. Talks about his chest, as I said, and he ended up doing a floor press with 540, weighing under 200 pounds. That is pretty impressive, to say the least. See him on these two pictures. He's 16 on the picture on the left. Thank you for watching. I appreciate those who have subscribed recently, and I ask, if you like these videos, please hit that subscribe button and hit the likes. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.